أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله ثم الحمد لله، والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا رسول الله وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المكرمين الغرر الميامين الذين أذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
وأما بعد، قال الله تعالى في محكم كتابه الكريم: أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. رجال صدقوا ما عاهدوا الله عليه، فمنهم من قضى نحبه ومنهم من ينتظر وما بدلوا تبديلا. صدق الله العلي العظيم. In the name of Allah, the gracious, the most merciful. May the peace and the blessings of the Almighty Allah be with and amongst all the prophets and messengers, including the last and the beloved Muhammad and his honorable and dignified progeny. Brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Amongst the greatest of companions, amongst the greatest of men within the Islamic history and throughout time, and I say this with full confidence, is a man by the name of Ammar bin Yaser. A companion to Rasulullah, a companion to Quran, a companion to Amir al-Mu'mineen wa Mawla al-Muwahhideen Ali ibn Abi Talib, given the title of Shaheed ibn Shahidain, a martyr, the son of the two martyrs. He was a shaheed, and his father was a shaheed, and his mother was a martyr as well. When Ammar was a young man, in the beginning of the spread of Islam, in the beginning of the influence of Islam, in the beginning of the message of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam, Abu Sufyan and Abu Jahl and the rest of the enemies of Islam took Sumayyah, his mother, and took Yaser, his father, as prisoners, and they began to torture them for many days in public. Many days in the middle of Mecca, you would see that the slaves and the servants of Abu Jahl and Abu Sufyan torturing and abusing Sumayyah and Yaser, those two noble men, those two noble individuals. Then they took Ammar. They took Ammar as another captive, and they began to beat them all together. Rasulullah would go and stand. He would watch them and say, Sabran ya ala Yaser, Sabran ya ala Yaser, Sabran ya ala Yaser, and he would cry. Patience, Yaser and his family. Patience, Yaser and his family. Patience, Yaser and his family. And he would shed tears for them, and he would do dua for them to remain strong and steadfast. And the story of how they converted was, one day Ammar went inside his house, and he was about to leave, and his cloth took the idol that they had, the small idol that they had inside their living room, and it broke the idol. So his mother, his father, they said, "What have you done? You broke the God. This is a tragic event. What are we going to do? How are we going to please the gods now?" And Ammar says he had already converted. He had already seen the light. He told his mother and his father, "My dear parents, what type of God cannot defend itself? How can it defend you? What type of God cannot speak and complain? How can it speak for you? How can it enlighten you? What type of God cannot defend itself, neither defend you? Why do you worship such a God?" So they said, "What do you need?" He said to them, "قُولُوا لَا إِلَهَ إِلَّا اللَّهُ تُفْلِحُوا." Say that there is no God but Allah. Who's Allah? He told them, Allah is the one and only sustainer and creator, and Muhammad is his final messenger. Then they came to Rasulullah. They witnessed Rasulullah, and they accepted Islam. When they accepted Islam, the early on Muslims would be taken right away and immediately for torture. So they tortured Sumayyah and Yaser to an extent that they died under torture. In fact, Yaser, his father, was stabbed in the stomach so many times until all his stomach and ripped up and he was bleeding until his death. His mother was stabbed right in the neck and she was killed. When Ammar, as a young boy, saw this, they told him, قُلْ اللَّاتُ وَالْعُزَّى. Instead of saying, قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ, Allah has one, say اللَّاتُ وَالْعُزَّى. Name our idols. Ammar ibn Yaser, to save his life, said اللَّاتُ وَالْعُزَّى. They let him go. He went straight to Rasulullah. He did not go right or left. He did not go home. He did not go and cry about his parents. He went to Rasulullah. He said, Ya Rasulullah, this is what happened. I had to say it. But it was only a lip service. I did not mean what I said. I mean that I worship Allah. I love Allah. I love your faith. And Rasulullah said, Ya Ammar, you did the wise thing. You saved your life by just saying something that pleases them. And he was the first person in the religion of Islam to exercise the concept and the principle of taqiyya. What is taqiyya? Taqiyya is to say something to save your life. To say something to safeguard your health and your security. Therefore, Rasulullah commenced him. Rasulullah says to him, you did the right thing. You saved your life. And Ammar became a companion to Rasulullah. Every salah he's with Rasulullah. Every time an ayah comes, he was with Rasulullah, inseparable from the last messenger of God. And when they migrated from Mecca to Medina, he migrated with Rasulullah from Mecca to Medina. When they got to Medina, Rasulullah ordered the Muslimin, all of you shall participate in the building and the construction of the masjid, Masjid Rasulullah. Rasulullah himself became a construction worker. Rasulullah himself began to construct, began to construct the walls. They did everything that they can in order to build the masjid. Amongst them was Amir al-Mu'mineen, amongst them was Ammar, amongst them was the rest of the companions. Uthman ibn Affan, the third companion, and this is mentioned in Tafsir al-Fakhr al-Razi, Tafsir al-Qurtubi, and it is also mentioned in the books of hadith. The tafsir of our brothers and sisters was holding his mouth while they had construction. He was standing behind and he didn't want to be part of it. He came from the rich and the famous caliber of the Arabs. So Ammar ibn Yaser says to him, Rasulullah is involved. Rasulullah is constructing, Ya Uthman. What do you think you are? So Uthman says to him, Tuhinuni ibn al-Sawda? Are you insulting me, or the son of the black slave? So Ammar ignored him. He mentioned his mother, but Ammar ignored him. Then Uthman, he was the one that disrespected him. He was the one that started it. He went to Rasulullah and said, Ya Rasulullah, aslamna hatta nuhan? We became a Muslim, so a person like Ammar can disrespect me? Rasulullah does not need witnesses. He knows what happens. Rasulullah has the knowledge from Allah, and he knows Ammar. So he says to him, Atamunnu alayya islamuka ya Uthman, ya ibn Affan? Are you putting favor upon me because you're a Muslim and you're coming here to construct the masjid? Aqaltuka islamuka ya ibn Affan. Take your Islam back. I don't need it. You're putting a favor that you're a Muslim? Take your Islam. Aqaltuka islamuka ya ibn Affan. This ayah sent down. Yamunnunaka an aslam. Ya Rasulullah, they put favor onto you that they have become Muslim. Qul, say to them that Allah has put a favor onto you for declaring His last messenger from you and guiding you towards Islam. You shall be thankful to Allah and not put a favor onto Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ammar wa ma adraka man Ammar. Ammar, this great companion. This great companion to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. I have a lot here to share about the story of Ammar. However, let me say that Ammar, Abu Dhar al-Ghifari, Salman al-Muhammadi, Salama, Muhammad ibn Abi Bakr, many of the companions that we will speak about and we have spoken about that are companions of Rasulullah. Grand names, but you see them not receiving justice in the books of history and hadith. They tell us that you, the followers of Ahlul Bayt, disrespect the Sahaba. Let me tell you, Ammar was amongst the first 5 men to enter into Islam, and he lived with Rasulullah until the day Rasulullah died. Sahih al-Bukhari narrates 20 hadiths from Ammar bin Yaser. 20. And he narrates 470 hadiths from Abu Hurairah. According to Sahih al-Bukhari and according to Al-Hakim Ibn Hajar in his book Al-Isaba fi al-Sahaba, he states that Abu Hurairah was with Rasulullah 3 months to 6 months. Not more than 6 months, 3 to 6. 470 hadiths in Sahih Bukhari. And Ammar ibn Yaser, his entire life is with Rasulullah, 20 hadiths. Who's disrespecting the Sahaba here? Who's dishonoring the Sahaba here? And this is not to stir up some controversy. I want the youngsters, the brothers and the sisters, when they speak to our brothers and sisters. The other day I was on the radio, somebody called, they said, you disrespect the Sahaba. This is an answer to them. We disrespect the Sahaba. Ammar ibn Yaser, 20 hadiths. Salman al-Muhammadi, less than 20 hadiths. Abu Dhar al-Ghifari, less than 40 hadiths. And then you have a man, 3 months. And we don't want to speak about the biography of who Abu Hurairah was. 470 hadiths. In fact, let me tell you a fact. Aisha, Hafsa and the 9 wives of Rasulullah combined all together do not have as many hadiths as Abu Hurairah has in Sahih Bukhari and Muslim. Those are his wives. His 9 people that are his wives that live with them don't have as much hadith. Therefore, it needs to be discussed. It needs to be brought up. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam one day looks at Ammar. He looks at the steadfastness, the perseverance, the patience, the iman of Ammar, and he says, Ayyuhan nas, O people, Subhanallah. The words of Rasulullah, لا ينطق عن الهوى إن هو إلا وحي يوحى. He says, أيها الناس, and I'm quoting from him, لقد ملئ عمار بالإيمان من رأسه إلى قدميه. Ammar is full of iman from his tip of his head all the way to his feet. His whole body is embedded with iman. He's inseparable from iman. This man, 20 hadiths. This man has never go to any of the masjids in Mecca and Medina and the Arab world and the Muslim world. Do you find them quoting from Ammar bin Yaser? لَقَدْ مُلِئَ أَيُّهَا النَّاسِ لَقَدْ مُلِئَ عَمَّارْ بِالْإِيمَانِ. He is full of iman. Sahih Bukhari narrates that Rasulullah says to Ammar, he says to him the following, يا عمار ستكون من بعدي فتنة. Sahih Bukhari, Sahih Tirmidhi, the Sunnis and the Shia, everyone narrates this hadith. ستكون من بعدي فتنة وستقتلك الفئة الباغية وسيكون آخر شرابك من هذه الدنيا ضياح من لبن. O Ammar, after me there will be a war, a battle, a fitna, a disaster amongst the Muslims. يدعونك إلى النار وتدعوهم إلى الجنة. You will be a person calling them to Jannah, to paradise, meaning calling them for the side of Amir al-Mu'mineen, calling them towards heaven. ويدعونك إلى النار, but they will try to push you towards the hellfire. It's obvious that there is a fitna. You will be on the side that calls for paradise, they will be on the side that calls for the punishment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And you shall die in that fitna. وَسَتَقْتُلُكَ الْفِئَةُ الْبَاغِيَةُ وَسَيَكُونْ آخِرُ شَرَابِكَ مِنْ هَذِهِ الدُّنْيَا ضَيَاحٌ مِنْ لَبَنٍ. On the battle of Siffin, he marched next to Amir al-Mu'mineen salawatullahi alayhi. He was wounded, he fell, he was thirsty. He said, bring me something to drink. They brought him a cup of laban, cup of milk. They brought him the cup of milk. He looked at it and he said, أيها الناس هذا لبن. أيها الناس هذا لبن, أيها الناس هذا لبن, 3 times. He said, oh people, this is lebanon. Oh the companions, don't you remember what Rasulullah told me? That I will be on the side of haqq and they will be on the side of justice, and the last cup that I will drink is a cup of milk. Many of them from the side of Muawiyah, because of the statement, came towards Amir al-Mu'mineen salawatullahi alayhi. And he died and he became a martyr. فَالسَّلَامُ عَلَيْهِ يَوْمَ وُلِدَ وَالسَّلَامُ عَلَيْهِ يَوْمَ اسْتُشْهِدَ وَالسَّلَامُ عَلَيْهِ يَوْمَ يُبْعَثُ حَيًّا.